This week, Patrick and Richard discuss the current issues surrounding the production and types of milk.
Why milk? Because I'm a dairy farmer. We milk cows and make cheese, but also because I think it's a central element of many people's diets, even if they're turning to non-dairy milks. And people these days are rightly questioning the environmental and ethical story behind the milk and other dairy products that they are consuming. So over to you, Richard. Welcome to this podcast.
Thank you, Patrick. And as you've highlighted, today we're going to talk about milk. So let's begin with you, because you're a dairy farmer and you produce milk on your farm every day, and your milk is organic milk. So would you like to start by just telling us a little bit about the milking process and what makes organic milk different from conventional milk production?
The milk of human kindness, or indeed of cow kindness to her calf, is a substance that mammals all drink early in life. So if we're going to take milk from a cow, then it's really important to me, and I think to more and more dairy farmers these days, that we do it in a compassionate way.
Some people would say that taking a calf away from its mother, from the cow, is a cruel thing. How do you reconcile that in the process of milking at your farm?
If you are going to take the calf away from its mum, which at some stage all dairy farmers do, even if they rear them on their own mum until maybe 5 or 6 months, which more and more ethical dairy farmers are doing these days, in the end, there is a welfare issue there. And of course, if you're involved with milking cows, as we are, it means that we shorten the animal's life. We don't let the cow die of old age. And if she has a beef cross calf, then that calf will be reared for beef and it too will die. So for me, it's really important that I've come to terms with this big ethical issue. Can I be responsible for taking the life of an animal, or for shortening the time that a young animal has milk from its mum? And I think the answer is, I wouldn't say I'm comfortable with it, but I feel that I've faced the question, and I still want to be a dairy farmer on behalf of all the people who care about that question. I feel responsible for farming in the way that we do, and not compromising the story that most people would hope is behind the milk that they drink. And that has taken the form of organic standards. But I believe that many other dairy farmers are wanting to move in this direction too at the present time.
Obviously, people will look at the cost and say it's more expensive, and therefore I'm not sure I want to buy it. What are the things that people should be aware of around organic milk, and why it is that bit more expensive?
We have a herd which is small enough to be able to walk to grass and back twice a day in the grazing season. I think that's important because more than half the milk that is sold in supermarkets today comes from cows that never get outside. So that's for me one primary principle, that cows should be able to graze during the grazing season. So ours do. They can walk up to 3/4 of a mile from the milking parlour during the summer to get to the furthest pastures. That's an important point. Secondly, we believe that it's important that the calf should be reared on its mother's milk at least for a few days, and thereafter it should suckle either its mother's milk or a foster cow's milk for up to 12 weeks. And that is actually the organic standard, that you have to give them milk for up to 12 weeks. But in our case, we actually want it to be mainly from the cow, unless there's a particular reason why we can't do that. So that's care for the calf, compassion for the calf. We milk twice a day. We have tried once a day, but twice a day seems to work best for us and the cows. And I would say that one of the most important things for us is that the cows feel loved and cared for by us. And what is amazing about cows is they're incredibly sensitive. They pick up tension. They know individual people. They have a pecking order. They come into the milking parlour in the same order. The more you work with cows, the more you realize what remarkable animals they are. And I feel that by showing that love and respect towards them, then that affects the quality of the milk. Because if the cows are stressed, if they're unhappy, if they're sick, if they're fed in the wrong way, then that will show up in the quality of the milk. And then, of course, we get to the central thing about organic dairy standards. But I think the way all dairy farmers should be moving now, what do they eat? Well, our cows eat mainly grass. We do supplement it with some grain feed, but that grain is mainly grown on the farm. So we believe in this idea of the circular economy, that the cows and the milk they produce should come from feed that is produced on our hill in West Wales. And that's a kind of principle that we're aiming towards. We don't always achieve it completely, but I think it's important.
So let's compare your milk with some of the other milks that are becoming very, very popular now. For example, oat milk. Do you think it's right that people are looking at plant-based alternatives, or do you think we need to continue to support dairy milk?
I think that if people have ethical objections to consuming milk or dairy products, who am I or who is anyone to stand in their way? So they're going to be looking for alternatives. And I guess then the attention shifts to the environmental footprint of the alternatives. So we need to ask ourselves the question, actually not just the environmental footprint, the nutritional impact as well, the nutritional composition of the alternative milks. And I think if we look at oat milk, soy milk, almond milk, all of them need to be scrutinized, because are they really good for the environment? It's a discussion. I think probably the least worst of them is oat milk, because of course we can grow oats in this country, whereas we can't grow almonds in the kind of quantity, or a soya in the quantity that would be needed. So that means we're consuming a dairy product from the other side of the world. But in the case of oats, I mean, we grow oats on our farm, and nothing wrong with oats. But I think if you look at the nutritional composition of oat milk, it hasn't got some of the essential nutrients in it that I think are one of the special qualities of milk. And that's not to diss it. It's just simply to say that it's challenging, as every vegan or vegetarian will know, to nourish yourself without animal products. It's possible, but challenging. And oat milk won't necessarily bridge the gap.
Thanks for listening. If you'd like to find out more about the work of the Sustainable Food Trust, you can visit our website, sustainablefoodtrust.org. We look forward to welcoming you next time.